Good morning, and thank God for a brand new day. Many say Tuesdays are the new Mondays because, of course, they're the most productive day, and you push everything into a Tuesday because you didn't get anything done yesterday. But anyhow, true productivity begins on Tuesday. That's what we believe.
For me, Tuesday is like my Friday.
How so? Because
Tuesday's Thursday for me. So by the time you look at it,
I agree with you.
You know, it depends on how you work. So the progression of your work time is what determines that Tuesday, Monday thingy. But whatever the case may be, though, we're here to make your day beautiful right here on your premium family breakfast show, Wake Up Nigeria.
Absolutely. Now, if you woke up feeling gloomy and need some inspiration, or
we thought
simply
here.
just, start your day up on a high note, welcome. This is where to be, and you've just made the right choice. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay, we should welcome you to our Tuesday edition of Wake Up Nigeria. It comes new every morning. New every morning. I was about to say...
Is that a gospel track?
Yes, now. Great is thy faithful.
I'm not big on gospel, but...
But really, thanks for joining us for another memorable edition.
Yes, indeed. Let's say hello to the golden girl inside the kitchen. Is that your hair?
She looks like she's about to break into a disco.
No, I would never dye my hair.
You wouldn't?
FYI, yes, I would never. And no, this is a wig.
Well, you'd borrow somebody else's.
Good morning, guys. I borrowed what?
You'd borrow somebody else's. If it's not your hair, then you borrowed it. That's why it's on your hair.
Whatever, whatever.
No, you don't get it. You don't get it. Don't worry.
I get it. Like I said, whatever. How are you all doing? How was your weekend? Well, mine was long, so technically, spilled over to Monday. But hey, how was your weekend?
I actually thought with the hair and the blouse,
dress.
yeah, she was just going to break into a disco dance, like, stuff like that. But then maybe later, we'll see her break into it.
Nah. Try.
Nah,
do it.
Nah,
go.
Nah.
Go, go,
Thank
go,
you.
go,
Thank you. Can we get right back into the show? Thank you
What
so
a
much.
Tuesday morning that would have been if she had done that. Maybe we will all have done so. In any case, today we are prepared for the right dose just for you guys. We've prepared for it all through.
Yes, we have so much lined up for you. Welcome once again. My name is Mary Bashua Alimi.
And my name is Mazino Appeal. Thank you very much. Remember, you can use the hashtag Wake Up Nigeria on TVC across all our social media platforms to be a part of this show.
Indeed. And remember, you can watch the show live on GOTV channel 27 and on UHF band 49 on terrestrial. Follow us on social media as well. We are TVC Connect. Where are you on?
Anyhow. You can also watch past episodes on YouTube if you guys search out TVC Entertainment on YouTube. Send in comments. Please remember, use the hashtag like she said from before. Welcome Nigeria TVC. What is happening to me this morning?
I don't know. I really don't know where. I have no idea.
I'm in two places. That's why. I'm in two places, here and somewhere else.
Let's tell you what we have on the show today. I'm very much here for you, even though Mazino is suffering from sleep personality disorder this morning. But we're going to start with parenting, and Babatunde Kayode, a parenting expert and teens transformational coach, will be joining us to talk about effective communication and positive discipline when it comes to parenting, that is.
And right after that, we have a musical performance coming your way from artist, songwriter, and also poet Kilani, popularly known as Abu Khalida, joining us to perform his latest single titled His Glory.
Finally, for our last conversation, we have talented actor Victor Attitude Anko, who has starred in some popular movies and series. We can't wait for that conversation.
Welcome, Tuesday edition here. Welcome, How was your very long weekend?
Oh, it was very
long.
Very long.
Very long. Yeah, but Saturday was quite eventful.
Were you at TT's?
Yes, I was at TT's after we also had the director of news whose daughter was also a year old, so we went for that, and then we had to go over to just show our face and say hello, TT, Amber and Ruby, nice. Happy birthday. So
that's very nice.
It was a good one.
Did anybody catch the interview? It was Davido's press conference, release press for his album Timeless.
Okay.
It was yesterday.
Yeah.
So there was this clip on Instagram where I don't know if it's a journalist or just an individual who asked him why his son's death wasn't an influence for his album. And it was the way he put it, first off, like as if he had the rights to somebody's grief, to somebody's pain, and he wanted to have that in the album, and like he was robbed of something. I especially liked the way Davido responded without slapping him in the face.
Why would he slap him?
I'm just joking. That was me exaggerating, don't mind me. But he responded with a certain level of dignity that I was very impressed with. It was like, listen, hey, I'm a happy person. I don't need all that in my album. If you
Regardless
always
of my grief.
Exactly. And
So when I first came across this, my thought was indignation. I was like, why? Why would you do that and everything? But then when you think about journalism internationally, especially when it comes to entertainment journalism, they can be quite brutal. The questions they ask is they're trying to elicit response from you. They're trying to make you say things that you would probably regret. You know, it's brutal. In Nigeria, we always play it safe. We tend to, you know, keep things simple. We don't know where we'll meet this person. We don't want them to waylay us on the road kind of thing. But
I would think that was
really,
the other way around.
that
I would
kind of
think
question.
that was the line of
speaking,
questioning.
speaking
Thank
the
you, the
mind
minds of a lot of
people.
Exactly. I was going to
Many
say
people,
that.
many people said what he said
Yes,
on social media.
yes.
So yes, even though initially I was like, why would it? But when you take a step back, he put it. Yes, that
Like
was the problem.
Looking at whoever the person was and all that, it was a very, very unprofessional and silly way.
Exactly.
So the point is
Thank you
maybe
very
something
much,
like,
Mike.
oh, we know you're going through grief.
Exactly.
We know what you've lost. We're so sorry about that. But you've not spoken about it.
And it
would
was
you want to
missing in
do
your
it now?
album.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or would you want to prefer a
Mike.
better time? We're expecting that you might have something like that in your album, but you didn't. Nobody will have a question, an issue with the way
So
I put
remember
down.
how I put it
Because
when
the
I
way he
started?
put it.
He sounded like he had a right.
Yeah,
to
and
his
the
grief.
tone of the person's voice. So
So,
it's valid
unfortunately-
that, you
That's
know.
not how you-
Unfortunately, when you're a public figure, some people think they have a right to your life. It doesn't make much
because there's so much invested in your music,
yes,
in your
in your
I
craft.
guess that's
music,
why
in
they're
your
called
career,
fans.
in your lifestyle, everything.
And then in
yes,
his
they're called
defense,
fans.
not everyone, has that emotional intelligence
Yes.
skill. So let's,
Yes.
he
Yes.
could have been, met randomly on the way, and some person would say it even more brutal
More
than
brutally, yeah.
he put it
And
up.
then he
So
gets
yeah,
slapped.
yeah.
Time for the news update on Wake Up Nigeria. I am Mary Bashua Alimi. Now, the People's Democratic Party in Adamawa State has called for completion of the ongoing supplementary election process in the state. The party's governorship campaign organization, in a protest to INEC headquarters in Yola, issued a 72-hour ultimatum to the umpire to complete last Saturday's exercise. A correspondent, Owolabi Adenusi, filed in this report.
These are supporters of the PDP governorship candidates in the April 15 rerun election. They came out in their numbers to air their views in a peaceful protest at the INEC office in Yola.
We are here today to see the INEC officials of Adamawa State and those that are responsible for coalition and return of a winner for our governorship election in Adamawa State, to demand for justice, to demand that the right thing be done. That is why we had to take a walk protest. And this is because they want to put Adamawa into a position that citizens will be fighting themselves.
Meanwhile, international election observers who monitor the exercise shared the same view.
And then this morning to find out that something had derailed that scheduled process at 9 o'clock was devastating, to say the least. The count was very transparent. It was going very, very well. And I think that the last 10 local governments should be completed to finish off and get the true result of the election itself.
They want INEC to douse the tension in the state by completing the electoral process, believing it will usher in popular candidates.
In fact, we insist that INEC must return to Adamawa today, immediately after their meeting. INEC has all the money. They can hire an aircraft that returns their officials, even if there is no aircraft flying to Adamawa today. So we must not wait any further. INEC must not wait any further after today. This is our call on INEC. This process must finish. This process must finish. We want to maintain peace. We are calm. We'll continue to maintain peace. But for now, we cannot guarantee anything after now.
It's unfortunate. INEC, we are calling that for the removal of Mr. Harry Hudu, who have connived and collected money to sabotage the image of the Independent National Electoral Commission.
PDP is also demanding the removal of the state resident electoral commissioner for partisanship.
To foreign news now, opposition activist Vladimir Kara-Murza has been sentenced to 25 years in jail in Russia for charges linked to his criticism of the war in Ukraine. He was found guilty of treason, spreading false information about the Russian army, and being affiliated with an undesirable organization. That includes. Now, the Russian-British former journalist and politician is the latest of several potent opponents to have been arrested or forced to flee Russia. He has denied all the charges, and Kara-Murza has spent years speaking out against Russian President Vladimir Putin alongside the war in Ukraine. Is also being critical of the government's crackdown on dissent. The judge said the 41-year-old would serve his term in a strict regime correctional colony and that he would be fined 400,000 rubles. Well, that's it on the news updates for this week of Nigeria. Just stay with us. There's so much more to come.
You're welcome. It's time for the dailies, at least the headlines now on Wake Up Nigeria. Let's let you know what you'd be finding when you pick up any of the dailies that we'll be looking at today. For the Guardian newspaper, for the 18th of April, we have these headlines. 40% of failed transactions unresolved as e-payments hit 49.4 trillion naira. That concerns everybody because I know one or two people, if not everybody, that's got one of those instances still pending. On page 6, you'll find new wave of kidnapping amid botched Naira redesign policy, and NAFDAC grants provisional approval for first malaria vaccine in Nigeria. Fresh oil output concerns as ExxonMobil declares force majeure, and Chinese brands dominate Nigeria's mobile phone market. Aviation workers reject FG's plea, disrupt flight operations over COS welfare, and Adamawa despite Rex suspension. PDP insists on protests till poll concludes. That's that for the Guardian newspaper. Moving now to our next daily, and that's the Daily Independent. Front and center for the Daily Independent. FG may spend more than $800 million earmarked for palliatives. Minister explains why cost of servicing foreign debt is rising. At the top of the paper, Aviation Minister warns strike may lead to economic losses. And INEC asks controversial Adamawa Rec to stay away from office. A look at the side of the paper this morning, or rather the photo story shows Labour Party crisis. NLC president, others lead Abure to party secretariat in Abuja. One factional chairman, Papa, to stay away. To the side of the photo story on the Daily Independent, FGOK's use of Oxford malaria vaccine. The long order security forces to deal with attackers and Lagos gubernatorials. Tribunal OK's GRV's prayers to serve Sanwo-Olu via substituted service. Issuing flood warning and not enough, take action, Diri urges the federal government, and weed out partisan corrupt officials, PDP government tells INEC. Moving on now to our next daily for a Tuesday, the Punch newspaper has these headlines here. FG begins 40% pay rise for workers, April ending. Government will settle January to March arrears later, says Labour Ministry. And increased transport, housing allowance also, TUC tells FG. PDP goes at the top now. PDP goes, government demands Adamawa Rec's trial, Binani sues INEC, and external reserve slides further to $36 billion. Marginal oil field sale generated 203 billion naira, says Buhari. And at the bottom of the Punch newspaper, striking aviation workers reject government's plea, threaten a total shutdown, and $2.8 billion gas pipeline progressing to power 3,600 megawatts plant, says the federal government. That's as much as we can take for the dailies. Thank you very much for staying with us. If you pick up any of the dailies and want to maybe make a comment, use the hashtag WakeUpNigeria on TVC. Would love to read from you. That's impossible.
It is possible.
Mary just told us something very ridiculous.
Possible.
I don't think that's...
No joke.
Mary's telling of an Indian tradition where in labor, the lady is...
Not Indian, like Asian Indian, but American in the world
American,
Indians.
oh, okay.
And...
The lady during labor is suspended from...
No, the lady is laying, she's in labor, and her husband is in the loft.
She's suspended from his genitalia, is what she said.
Yes, with a rope. So each time she's feeling any pain, she has to drag at it.
So that he
can also feel the pain. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
But, well, it's labor.
Brings us to our topic. Let's move on.
Look at the look on Mike's face. Mike has this look like nobody should try that with me.
Well, what are we talking
but
about?
seriously, people, the thing is, men deal with tension in different ways.
Yeah.
We tend to say, oh, you know, women are supposed to handle issues in certain ways. But then some people have issues with how men deal with different things. A man would probably handle losing his job separately from how he would handle losing a child. And this is a segue from the initial conversation or to how he would handle things. And today I just wonder, guys, how do you handle your emotions
Sorry, before
for
you
different
guys
things?
speak on this, it also brings to mind there was a certain person that tweeted that men do not have mood swings. Right.
Huh?
Yeah, which is also related to
Maybe
you
because
know,
I
how
never
they
lived
express
with a
their
man.
emotions. Like men do not have mood swings, and then that conversation, like you know, is of course of like a
thread.
long thread afterwards. But hey, do you guys have mood swings?
Well, I'll tell
I
you
know
how
this one has.
No, I was going to say that. I know we all know that Mike has. So, but Maz,
So the question is, how do we handle different situations, how do you put it now? Help me out.
different situations, your emotions.
Emotion, how do we handle our
Yes,
emotions?
yes.
Okay, I'm going to come at it from the mood swings angle now. First off, when men are handling stuff, it's not a physical thing. It's more a mental
more a
state
mental
than
thing, yeah,
than anything
that's
that we can exhibit. Unlike ladies, we know when they're like,
Nice,
"Go."
Is it
But men are more reserved, introspective. Personally, when I'm going through my own mood
You
swing,
internalize your
I internalize. I become a clamp fish, a clam. I just close up. And my wife often will ask me, "What are you thinking of?" And I'm like, "Nothing."
Some
And I don't
women
like to
do that
talk
too.
during that period. I actually want to first of all resolve it, get to a solution before I get it out. My wife finds a problem with that. You don't like talking. Why don't you like talking? I don't know, because I feel I don't want her to be labored, exactly, to be worried with everything. I feel like I'm the man and I should take care of that
But
and only
why?
provide solutions to her.
In contrast, women would rather talk it through. But for you,
True.
Mike, what is it like for you
the
when you're trying to handle
when
issues?
you look at when people say things, you know, you hear someone comes up on social media because of you have this particular experience and you think that all women, because you are a woman, you have 5 women around you, then all 6 of you feel that thing. That means that all
That's
women
the
in
way
the
it
world
is.
have to be that way.
Yeah.
That's extremely social media-ish. And most of the time when social media-ish is quite silly because you cannot use your experiences or the people around you to...
It's a blanket approach.
And that's what happens with a lot of motivational speakers and a lot of people. Oh, see, when women do this thing, men are like this, women are like this. Nobody is like anyhow. Everybody in their own way can be unique. And yes, there are some kinds of, should I say, mental or should I say responses that a man, you know, he has a higher proclivity or, you know, he's more susceptible to feeling that kind of way. He would not want to bother a woman, especially, you understand? But then we live in a society now where you have the people that want to answer the female, like, you know, they can be Mike or $10 or something, and they can lay your issues on it. But normally, the man would want to keep quiet.
Yeah.
Normally, you wouldn't hear him want to. The African man is raised that way. And then I heard something. I think I was a pastor who said something. He said, "Men, talk." He said, "Don't die."
Yeah, talk.
He said, "This is
Well,
him.
who do you talk
This is him saying." No, this is him saying. He said, "Women, the reason why you have more widows than widowers is because the women, they have their clique.
Their team.
When something happens, they get it out. But the men, they got.
Mike,
you
do you
understand?
have a community of friends you talk to?
Yes.
No, Mike, let me finish. When I say you talk to, I mean things like, this thing is bothering me. Or maybe like, Master's like, she did this to me.
Like really deep issues.
Deep issues. You have a community of friends you do.
They are not in proximity, so a lot of my
Yeah,
friends are outside. So
you guys
yeah,
chat.
you chat and you. Sometimes you don't. You might not say the exact same thing. You might just bring up something.
Yeah,
and they just
that
have you
one of
talk with
my
the guy.
friends.
And
One of my guys I know.
no, you don't even say one of that guy. You just bring up something and and then by the time you talk,
Have you ever cried
you're
to a
cool
friend?
after.
Have you ever cried?
Have I cried to myself before? Have I cried to myself?
So,
You don't understand.
So I
You don't
I
understand.
had a friend who was going through some issues in his marriage. And at the same time, I was also going through mine. And I remember this one time, I think a friend of mine in Abuja called up and said, "Hey, call your friend. Just call him up." And I did. And when I called him up, I could hear the cars going by. I could hear the cars on one side going by and the crickets on the other side. and I
Please
could hear
tell me he
footsteps.
wasn't trying to commit
No, no, he wasn't. But he was just walking. He was walking
On the
really
beach.
walking aimlessly, and I'm like, "Guy, what's up?" And he burst into tears, and I followed. I burst into tears myself. It was the most emotional interaction I had had with another guy.
For me, I've always thought that
But
it was underrated.
also very relieving on both sides.
So after the tears, what
Yeah,
next?
I want
So,
to ask.
see, that's very
Mozino,
therapeutic. It was very therapeutic.
I actually
I
just
think
wanted
it
to
is.
chip in that this Johnny Drills, How Are You, My Friend? That song for me is very powerful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Like, we overlook and underrate certain things. Just even reaching out to someone. You don't even, yes, there are some people that will bill you guys, send me money. I know say your life better pass my own right now. But at least just call, let them know that you
True.
care.
Yeah, but then do you think that sometimes opening up to your wife would make you feel better?
Can we
Or
talk about
even
this
the
on Thursday?
Why?
No, let's see. There's a difference.
Why? I'd like to
There's a difference,
understand.
and it's not saying that. When a man
Is it because a man,
understands-
or is it because men can relate better with the situation than a woman
Yes.
would? Okay.
See, a woman, even if it's not your wife, if I'm telling you stuff, the way you would understand or not understand it is like you would
You know
try
what,
to
you know what,
rationalize
I
it.
think-
But a man would be like,
If we have enough time, this is probably a conversation we'll continue
Yeah.
in the next
On Thursday.
Okay, but if we're unable to, as I said, maybe on Thursday.
Let's
But
do it on
hopefully we can
Thursday.
continue in a bit. Right now, however, we have to take a break. It's Wake Up Nigeria. Just stay with us. All that food, and we have more for you in the kitchen right here on Wake Up Nigeria. Welcome. Today, our chef is the one and only Chef Walia. It's so good to have you here with us. You're smiling as if you just stepped out of bed like this, but we know that your morning started like, what, 4 hours ago, trying to prepare breakfast and still coming here to make breakfast for us. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so what are we having this morning?
So we're having yam balls and chai masala tea.
Yam balls
Yeah.
and chai masala tea on the side. Okay. So let's talk about the ingredients. What are we making use of for the yam balls?
For the yam balls, we are making of our yam. It's already been boiled and mashed.
Okay, so you boil it and you mash
mash
it.
it,
Is it in the same way you do pounded yam, or this is different?
No, this is like just like breadcrumbs, wet breadcrumbs.
Okay,
Not
so
that
you boil it,
smooth.
then you
Yeah,
you
just-
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
so
then.
we have our onions.
Okay.
We have our fish.
Okay.
Our pepper
Okay.
mix.
Okay.
Then our eggs too is going inside. Then
Okay.
our seasoning.
Oil and then
Oil for frying.
what is
so
this?
this milk for our
for tea. Okay, so let's talk about the ingredients for the tea. We have the milk.
The milk,
the
we
sugar.
have the sugar.
Okay.
This is black pepper.
Okay.
This is clove.
Clove.
This is fresh
There's a
mint.
Yoruba name for it.
Konofuru.
Gonofuru, Abi Konofuru, yes. Okay.
So this is the fresh ginger.
Okay.
This cardamom cloves.
Yes.
Yeah, and this cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
And this turmeric powder.
Okay, so these are actually cinnamon sticks.
Yeah,
okay?
cinnamon sticks. We
Yeah,
have
so
the powder
you break
too.
them. Yeah, and we have the powder as well. Some people prefer the powder, but I've always thought the sticks pack more punch, especially when you're looking for flavor. Okay, so sardine can be replaced by boiled fish.
Yes. Can be
Okay, so you can put just about anything in it. The most important thing is
Fish.
putting some stuffing in the yam balls.
Yes.
All right, so run me through the process as we get started. What's the first thing we have to do?
So we are mixing our yam with our pepper, fish, onions, and eggs.
Okay, you're going to mix it
Yes. We're
before...
then we mold it into the shape, your desired shape.
You know what I thought? I thought we were going to, like, get a bowl,
Okay. And
then
stuff
punch it and stuff it in.
Okay, that
Yeah,
one
then
is like
cover it.
stuffed. You can call that one stuffed,
Stuffed yam balls.
Yes, but this one is yam balls.
Just yam balls.
Yes.
Okay, maybe I'll make a few stuffed yam balls for myself. I just want to see what it tastes like, you know, to have the pepper on the side as you boil. Okay, so after doing that, mixing 1, 2, 3, right?
Yes, and the
That's the
eggs.
pepper, the onions, the eggs,
Yes, and
and
the
the
yam.
yam
Yeah.
with the fish.
Yes, the fish.
You mix it all together. Now,
Yeah.
the purpose of the eggs is to put it together.
Yes, to mold it.
Yes, so it's easier to mold, yes, and so that way it's easier to fry as well.
Yes.
Okay, so the oil, of course,
Yeah,
is
for
for frying.
frying, yeah.
Okay, what about the tea? What's the process?
See, we are boiling the tea.
Okay, so are we pouring all of this in a kettle to boil?
Yes, in the kettle to boil.
Ah, okay, okay. So that's why we have the kettle waiting.
Yes.
So we're gonna pour everything in the kettle. The ingredients are currently on your screen, by the way, for the masala chai tea or chai masala tea, as the case may be. Okay, so we're putting the black pepper,
Yes,
the cloves,
yeah.
the ginger,
Yeah.
the cardamom
Cardamom
cloves, the cinnamon sticks,
Yes.
and the turmeric.
powder.
inside the kettle.
Yes.
So everything will boil
Boils,
together.
yes.
Then when it's boiled, the liquid, are we going to strain it or it will be poured in like that?
We are going to strain it.
So we strain the liquid.
Yes. Then we
serve
had
it in a cup.
Yes, and had our milk and any sweetener of your choice.
Ah, okay. So, and then of course the sugar.
Yes.
But if I decide to do away with the sugar, would it still? Because I've always thought cinnamon, more or less, sometimes.
Sweetener?
Yes, yeah, because there's just something about cinnamon.
Yeah,
it just
has
this flavor it
and
brings to.
You can do away with
Yeah.
sugar.
Okay.
People do away with sugar.
Okay.
You can add, even if you don't want to add any sweetener, you can drink your tea. People drink their tea like that
Yeah.
without any sweetener.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah. So on a lighter note, are you going to be doing the dramatic tea pouring? You know.
No,
She
no,
wouldn't.
no.
But it's okay. It's okay. All right. So let's get started.
All right.
What would you be needing?
Okay, the bowl.
The bowl. Okay.
Oh,
So that's the bowl you're going to be using.
Yes.
Okay. So.
we'll mix.
All right. So we mix. First, we break the eggs. Oh yes, these days we have our chefs wearing gloves most times. So the chai masala ingredients have been taken off for you to see the yam balls ingredients. Okay, so those are the ingredients. In case you missed anything while we're mentioning them, you might want to scribble those down. All right. I have never seen black gloves.
Really?
Okay, and I actually like them. They look like stuff I can even wear outside. Yeah.
Okay, so.
Okay, so let's put this here. Let me make room for you. Okay. Yeah, so everyone can see that. Okay. So the yam, and then we mash the fish. So this is actually just an easy way to avoid having to boil salt.
Yes.
Just get sardines. So when you put your sardines in it, it gives you extra flavor as well. So that's why I was talking about the punch one, because it will still maintain the taste of the sardine when you bite into it. I'm gonna make some of those. All right, at this point, we have to take a break. We're still in the kitchen right here on Wake Up Nigeria. Just stay with us, all right? We'll be back in a bit.
Thanks for staying with us. We have parenting right here, and we are joined by Babatunde Kayode, parenting expert and teens transformational coach. He'll be talking about effective communication and positive discipline, of course, when it comes to parenting. You're welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here again.
It's good to have you back here talking about parenting, very important. Before the conversation, we're talking about communication, and I was, relieving my story to you,
Yes.
right, during the weekend.
Very interested.
So I had the weekend with the kids, right? We spent a lot of time together, but you know how it feels like you're spending time with your kids, but you're not bonding with them. You're not having, a certain level of conversation, communication you're to have with them, right? And of course, yesterday we had that moment, and it felt very surreal for me. I loved it. We even read a few affirmations together, and I could see the confidence at which, they said this, these affirmations. It was a beautiful moment, right?
Of course.
So, it brings to the question, at what age do we start to begin to have this effective communication with our children?
Okay.
Because sometimes it feels like you're talking to them and you feel like they're too young to grapple with what you're saying.
Okay, I think an average African parent do not really understand how to really communicate. And when you talk about age, not to sound weird, but I feel you begin to communicate with your children from when they are still in the womb. I remember my first son, we named him while he was in the womb, and his favorite song was being sung to him while he was in the womb. So anytime we call his name, you see him responding with his fist. And anytime we sing the song, "This Little Light of Mine," you see, his name is Lucius, means light. Lucius. So anytime we sing that song, even while he was in the womb, you see him respond.
Okay.
So, not to sound weird, I feel you should start communicating with your kids right from when they're in the womb.
I agree with you.
Yes, because they're listening to you. Now, my boy of one also is just one, but he has learned to, communicate with me. If he's doing something wrong and I just look at him and I say, "Don't," he's going to smile and run away from there because now he understands that what he's doing is wrong. So sometimes he wants to test me. So I think an average African parent did not really understand how to communicate, which was why while we're growing up, They resorted more to beating and slapping and, you know, punching.
That was their mode of communication.
Yes, it had its own effect then, because now those slaps will correct and readjust our brains.
Exactly.
But right now it doesn't work that way anymore. So I think parents need to do a lot now when it comes to communication. Communication is outside just hitting and all that. And like I was saying before we went on here, that sometimes they don't just want you to take them out, you know, buy things for them. They just want a time with you. They want to talk to you. And I see that sometimes when I'm stressed out and I just want to be alone, sometimes I just want to be alone, and my son is coming and he's touchy. Sometimes I don't just like it.
Yeah.
But when I see his reaction, I'll pull him together. It happened last night. I pull him together and we saw a movie on my phone together. Of course, a movie you could see it was on my chest until he fell asleep. So they just want that time. Now, if you spend that much time with your children, forget it. You're going to bond. They're going to respect you. They will do whatever you want because you are there. They want attention. And if you give them that attention, you have them.
Now, let's talk about spanking, because, I mean, this is also related to positive discipline. And a lot of parents, you know, misconstrue what discipline is to punishment, to spanking. You know what they always say, train up a child in a way that you should go so that when it's old, you not depart from it. Train up a child in back then and even still now.
Some
which
will
a lot
even
of
tell you
parents
spare the rod and spoil the child. Yeah, just like the Bible says. But
exactly. Now let's talk about that in relation to positive discipline. What is positive discipline, and how does a parent imbibe it in this 21st century?
Okay. Number one, we need to understand that spanking and beating does not yield result. Maybe it did then, all right, because of the way...
Are you saying at all?
Okay, to some extent, but it doesn't yield result.
Okay.
What I'm saying is there are better ways to actually go about that. Better ways. When you beat a child, it could cause a lot of damage. One of them could be destroying the child's self-esteem. It did to us then, but then somehow we were able to find our way around it, but not in this generation. We're talking about 24th century children, 24th century parenting. It doesn't yield that result. I teach in a school, in a college, and of course, Lagos State has a law where you don't beat a child. Okay, that is not a way of instilling discipline. You only inflict pain and kill their morale, and that can also cause separation between both of you. But we want to talk about positive parenting. Number one, like I said in one of our episodes, that you need to understand them. You need to understand their times. These methods don't work anymore. It worked then in our time, but it doesn't work anymore. Number two, you do a lot of talking. If you start doing the talking from when they are very young, you will do less talking when they grow up. Of course, when they get into their teenage age, you know, things begin to change because of certain influences and all that. But then, even at that point, beating or spanking will not have any effect at all. So you need to do a lot of talking. But then even when you're doing the talking, you need to let them understand that when you take certain decisions, there are consequences for it. And you need to mean it when you say it. Understand that as a parent, yes, you're not their friend first, you're the parent first. So you're teaching them responsibility. Now, I wrote something on my Facebook wall, I think 2 days ago, about how to teach a child freedom and responsibility. If you it's called a rope story. Tie a rope around your child, okay, and then you hold one end of the rope. When the child makes certain decisions that are right, you release the rope, it shows freedom. But when they take the wrong step, you pull the rope. All right, it shows responsibility. So while you're communicating, there are certain things you must talk about. There are consequences for every action that you make, and then you will bear the consequence. There was an issue on Facebook also when Nelly, I can't remember the other name now, shared a post about parents covering up for their children, cleaning their messes. Or this is one mistake that a lot of 24th century parents make. You don't just cover the mess of your children. Yes, you can do that, but you must let them understand that there are consequences for every action. My first son is just 4. If he does anything that he's not supposed to do, that I told him not to do, there are consequences and he has to face it. Now, after facing that, I'll call him and we'll talk about it.
So it's important that you teach your children responsibility.
Yes, very
and
important.
for every of their actions, you need to let them know that there are
The consequences and you must bear.
and then they have to deal with it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Babatunde Kayode. I'm sure that a parent watching right now has been able to take 1 or 2 lessons from this conversation. There is something quickly that I'd like to touch on, but we really do not have enough time. Okay. But hey, we have to head over to the kitchen now. And there is, let's see what's cooking, Mary. What's happening over there? Seems to be a ruckus. We good?
There's no ruckus, as a matter of fact. It's
Okay.
just a lot of cooking going on, or a lot of prepping, as the case may be. As it is, Chef Walia has been quite busy trying to ensure that our yam balls get ready in time. So far, so good, Chef Walia. What have we done?
So we have mixed our yam balls is almost ready. So we've mixed our fish, our pepper, onions, and our seasoning, and the eggs. They're all matched up now.
Okay,
So
so
we are just about to mold.
all right, so let's start with the molding process.
Okay.
But before then, do you want to put this?
so
Okay.
we can start boiling our tea now.
Okay, so at your service.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm gonna put all of this in here, right?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Just check this out. I'm putting in the cloves,
Yes.
all of it.
Yes.
Okay. So this is like a spoonful of cloves, more like half spoonful, because it does seem like it's more than a teaspoon. But this one is a tablespoon of black pepper. How many ginger do we have here?
We have one.
One large, medium-sized ginger. Okay. So that's what we have here. Medium-sized ginger going in. Then we have the cardamom cloves here. Yeah. I know we have cardamom powder as well.
Yes.
But for your tea, it could be a lot better for you to use the cardamom cloves, okay? So yeah, so there goes the cardamom cloves. And then we have the cinnamon sticks. And finally, the turmeric. Am I right?
Yes.
Because I was beginning to think maybe we'll put the turmeric later. So some people will call it, as they say in Yoruba, agbo, herbs. But hey, herbs are good for you, for your health. So yeah, get started with the yam balls.
Okay.
Let Chef Walia show you how to make the yam balls. This is going to be quite some breakfast. Okay, so that's a huge bowl. Okay, so that's why we are deep frying. Don't worry, it will fry through. And when it's fried through, my goodness, this crispy out layer is going to be really crunchy. Okay, so that's just it. Fun, simple, easy. The children are on Easter break right now, even though Easter was 2 weeks ago. But they are still on Easter break. And so this is something you can do with your children. It's fun. It's exciting. Children like to do stuff with your hands. So they could mold balls. You could even do fun stuff. Maybe use a cookie cutter to make different fun shapes, you know.
You can actually make another shape now.
Yeah, so you could do different things with it. The most important thing is everything gets into the belly, not in the bin. Because you know how children can make a huge mess sometimes. See?
Shape.
See this? Yes, all we need is to put ears and a mouth and nose and eyes. And we have a yam bread man. There's no ginger in it. It would have been ginger yam man. Yeah. Okay, so now we're exploring different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
Okay, I wonder what you're going to make next. Still making more. Huh? So the oil is heating up.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to deep fry this, so we need the oil to be really hot before we start throwing it in. So let's still get creative with our balls. Okay, so if I want to get really playful with all of this, I can include maybe vegetable. By vegetable, I mean ugu. If I fry ugu, will it taste nice? I'm asking now.
There's no one way to cooking, so you can create your own recipe.
See, I know fried okra is actually an American delicacy, so who knows? You could just put okra into it, and then you fry it, and then you have something else, which I'm very sure is not yam balls. At this point, we've reached the top of the hour. We still have 45 minutes on the other side. Just stay with us. You're watching Wake Up Nigeria.
So,
all right.
I've been asked to comport myself, so I'm doing so from now on until the end of today's show. Mary knows why.
I just left the room. Yeah.
Should I tell them?
Tell them. What?
Okay, so normally we're very friendly, I and Mary, but today I can't be as friendly as I usually would be because her husband's outside.
So it's the second hour, the #1 breakfast show, and if you love the first hour, wait till you get a load of what is left.
So nothing I said, huh? You're not gonna react on anything I
Guys,
said.
we have a show to run.
Welcome back, people. Second hour here, of course, it's gonna be better than the first one. Now, let's let you guys know what's coming up for the second hour, but quick one. If you're watching us on channel 27 on GOTV and channel 49 in UHF.
That's band 49 on UHF.
Thank you very much for also following us using the hashtag #WakeUpNigeria on TVC and making sure that you search us out across all social media platforms at TVC Connect. My name is Mazino Appeal.
Someone is on fire.
I'm being professional now. No chit-chat with Mary.
My name is Mary Bashua Alimi. All right, so this we have a performance coming up. Yeah, and so that performance, before we tell you what the performance is about, I don't know, maybe one of these days Mazino can render something for us. A lovely song on the show. We're looking forward to that.
Finally, for our last conversation on the show here today, we have talented actor Victor Attitude Anchor. He has starred in some popular movies and series, and also we can't wait to find out more about what he has done as he joins us today on the show.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to continue from where we stopped in Coffee Gist, because I said we're going to continue. It's not just... And there was something we were talking about just before that break, talking about confiding in your wife.
I think we need to establish.
If you're just tuning in, earlier during the Coffee Gist, we were talking about men's emotions, how they react to different situations that occurs in their lives and around them as well. Mike shared his own. I didn't know that Mike had such a superb way of dealing with issues. Well done. But on a more serious note, I just like teasing him. Such a darling.
I shared mine, and I told about the difference, how different it is when you talk with a partner who's female and when you talk with a guy. Mike asked if it was... No, I told Mike that it was much more relieving, if you remember. And I still maintain. You brought up an issue where you said...
Why do you not like to... Not just you. I think even
men,
a lot
generally.
of men, actually, do not like to confide in their wives about what they're going through.
So it's not about not liking to, it's that I was trying to establish the fact that it's a different kind of understanding. Now, when you share with women, they, yes, want to resolve it with you. But it's not...
I think it comes from my personal opinion.
Okay.
I think it comes from a place of not wanting to bear your vulnerability to your wife.
Ah, good. You're going there, exactly. That's where I was trying to be very careful.
Because I think you're also concerned about the response you're going to get, because you don't know how she might respond.
So it's not about the response that you get immediately. It's the response that you get eventually. So there's a difference.
I'm not talking about immediately. I mean eventually.
Bearing vulnerability to a partner or anybody, even me being vulnerable to you as a female colleague is something that I wouldn't want to ordinarily just do. Because today, it's me being vulnerable. You're like, here, Mazino. Tomorrow, that very thing now, you're going to use it against me. You that I know.
I've always thought that being vulnerable, if you cannot be vulnerable to your spouse, who else
would you be vulnerable to?
Like, that's one person
do you want to be vulnerable to your children?
Who understands you to a large extent. Now, of course, it's dependent on the kind of relationship you have with your spouse.
I want to take a poll.
But if your spouse is your best friend...
Can I take a poll real quick? Mr.
I
Francis,
cannot be with
Mr.
him,
Francis,
man,
have you
I cannot
cried?
be his best
Have you
friend,
cried in front of your wife before?
I can't.
Have you cried? You have, Mr. Francis. Juwon, have you cried in front of your wife before? Juwon, has Juwon cried in front of his wife?
Juwon is not ready to answer.
Mr. Lekon, have you?
I have. But I'll tell you something. No. I'm talking about. I'm trying to express.
You might not even express yourself.
What's the point if you're deciding that there's one person you want to spend your life with? should do your best to ensure that that person is somebody that you can share with.
Yeah. That person should be.
I just say do your best. It's not always going to be like that.
Note,
You know,
let's take the weather.
Yeah.
We're
people.
done. We're taking weather. There's more to discuss.
We will discuss it on our social media platforms. Let's go, people. Let's take the weather.
Time for the news update on Wake Up Nigeria. I am Mary Bashua Alimi. Now, the People's Democratic Party in Adamawa State has called for completion of the ongoing supplementary election process in the state. Now, the party's governorship campaign organization, in a protest to INEC headquarters in Yola, issued a 72-hour ultimatum to the umpire to complete last Saturday's exercise. Correspondent Owolabi Adenusi filed in this report.
These are supporters of the PDP governorship candidates in the April 15 rerun election. They came out in their numbers to air their views in a peaceful protest at the INEC office in Yola.
We are here today to see the INEC officials of Adamawa State and those that are responsible for coalition and return of a winner for our governorship election in Adamawa State, to demand for justice, to demand that the right thing be done. That is why we had to take a walk protest. And this is because they want to put Adamawa into a position that citizens will be fighting themselves.
Meanwhile, international election observers who monitor the exercise shared the same view.
And then this morning to find out that something had derailed that scheduled process at 9 o'clock was devastating, to say the least. The count was very transparent. It was going very, very well. And I think that the last 10 local governments should be completed to finish off and get the true result of the election itself.
They want INEC to douse the tension in the state by completing the electoral process, believing it will usher in popular candidates.
In fact, we insist that INEC must return to Adamawa today, immediately after their meeting. INEC has all the money. They can hire an aircraft that returns their officials, even if there is no aircraft flying to Adamawa today. So we must not wait any further. INEC must not wait any further after today. This is our call on INEC. This process must finish. This process must finish. We want to maintain peace. We are calm. We'll continue to maintain peace. But for now, we cannot guarantee anything after now.
It's unfortunate. INEC, we are calling that for the removal of Mr. Harry Hoodoo, who have connived and collected money to sabotage the image of the Independent National Electoral Commission.
PDP is also demanding the removal of the state resident electoral commissioner for partisanship.
Now we move to foreign news. Opposition activist Vladimir Kara-Murza has been sentenced to 25 years in jail in Russia for charges linked to his criticism of the war in Ukraine. He was found guilty of treason, spreading false information about the Russian army, and being affiliated with an undesirable organization. The Russian-British former journalist and politician is the latest of several Putin opponents to have been arrested or forced to flee Russia. He has denied all of the charges. However, the 41-year-old spent years speaking out against Russian President Vladimir Putin, and alongside the war in Ukraine, has also been critical of the government's crackdown on dissent. Now, the judge said Kara-Murza would serve his time in a strict regime correctional colony and that he would be fined 400,000 rubles.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We have Dr. Raphael Ladipo. He is the President General of Nigerian Football Supporters Club. For a lot of us, we've grown up hearing that different ones when matches go on, and it seems like it has always been there. It has not, and this is one man that has been synonymous with Nigerian football over the years. It is great to have you, sir. You are welcome.
Good morning, and thank you.
You know, I was checking the annals and the archives. When exactly did you become the president of Nigerian Football Supporters Club?
Well, I joined the Supporters Club in 1977, and I became its national chairman in 1990, after going through the ranks from the usual flag bearing. In the 70s and 80s, you will see the team coming out of the tunnel, and there is always one man who is carrying the flag. He will be the first to come into the field. No player will come to the field unless I come first. I will be the one to go and inspect the dressing room, and then by the time I come out, the players will follow me to the field, and that is why and when the stadium knows that something is going to happen today. So I became its chairman in 1990, and that was the time I had the opportunity of changing its face for the better. Because in the past, we used to support all for the fun of supporting, but there was nothing to show that this was an organization that would become a worldwide renowned group.
Exactly.
So I had the opportunity, after I've gone around with the teams all around the world, I knew what was missing. And what was missing, Supporters Club was not known. Supporters Club was not registered. I took the job with my people, and I tried to register the Supporters Club with the CAC. That was when we became an institution, and that was when I had the opportunity of preaching peace through football supportership. Because in football, it is not for you to go to the stadium and start fighting.
Exactly.
It is for you to go into the stadium, be part of the game, make the people who have come to watch the game happy.
That piece that you're talking of is what a number of people are saying is not present in the football supporters club. There are as much as maybe 3, 4, even 5 factions of different people who say that they are the Nigerian football supporters club. Have you ever tried to reach out to these factions? In what ways?
Well, it's an issue I don't want to be talking about again, because in the last 4 or 5 years we've been talking about
it. Okay, just
all these people were my members. And some of them were officers of the club. But they felt that there can be 2 presidents at a time in one club, which is not true. We have a constitution that we use in running the supporters club. You must rise to the post of the national chairman before you can think of becoming contesting the president general's position.
Okay, exactly. Is it by election or appointment?
It's by election. It's by election.
Okay.
Everybody that is an officer of the supporters club must go through an
election.
Based
on the constitution.
Based on the constitution. Even the position of the president general is by election. We have a constitution that stipulates that.
And at every election, you have stood at every election?
Of course. What is the meaning of president general for the world? There was a supporters club in Nigeria that was not known. But when I became its national chairman, and I served in that position for 10 years, I had gone to Ghana, to Cote d'Ivoire, to Mali, to all the countries of Africa. I have gone to America, Canada, Brazil, India, China, Chile, all the countries of the world where football is played. I went there personally to inaugurate the supporters club there.
In
those countries. They are still there till now. And by the time we were changing the constitution to have a person who will be the arrowhead, we came up with this nomenclature of President General worldwide. Having served for 10 years, I left that position. Somebody else became the national chairman. Alhaji Waide Aderele Yusuf became the chairman.
National chairman, in
Nigeria. He takes charge of the 37 states of Nigeria.
Wonderful.
Why the president general
across
the world. Every chairman or president in their various countries, because in Anglophone countries, the head of the supporters club is addressed as the chairman. But in Francophone countries, the head of the supporters club is addressed as president. So when you have everybody sitting together, how do you call the head? That was how we came with that word, President General worldwide.
Moving forward, sir, we know we cannot, the myriad of problems, we can't start talking here about Nigerian football and Nigerian supporters club, but it's the major aim is Nigerian football. We missed the last World Cup. we were not there. Even our cadet championships, okay, we're going for the under 20, but under 23 Olympics we're not going. There's quite a lot. We've spoken about Nigerian football. You see, if we start, we're not going to finish. But as short as possible, as short as you can, what do we have to do?
God.
This has been asked a lot of times.
It's true. I have been warning for years that our football was dying. It's all over the place. I did conferences. I wrote messages. I met with the NFF and told them that the football in Nigeria is no longer improving. Why? Because the people running believed that we can continue to use the same crop of players for as many years as we can, which is not true. In football, somebody who is playing football actively now, in some years to come, we no longer be that strong to play football. So what we have left undone and what we were doing in the past was that we had programs that was bringing about the younger ones, graduating from the under 17 to under 20, from under 20 to under 23, and then the Super Eagles. Then in those days, there were competitions all over the country, in the west, in the east, in the north. We have left that. The Canon Work War that became a very big name in football was an under 17 player. He was camped in my hotel at Egbe. I was the one that would drive them to the training ground in the morning and in the afternoon. And it was from there we sent them to Japan in 1993, and they came back as world champions.
World champions.
Now, that same program, we have left it. We were believing that, yes, the Kanu, the Orumas, the Babayaros, and the rest, they were good. Actually, they were good. But there must be a time when they will no longer be strong enough to compete actively. So how do we do it? We have to go back to the grassroots.
Exactly.
We have to develop our football. How do we do it? We have to get, of course, this is the job of the Ministry of Sports. The Ministry of Sports must get involved. We have the Nigerian Institute of Sports, where coaches are trained. We have to get the young coaches that will go around the country, look at the young players of 15, 16, 17, that we will support and nurture to become great players. We cannot just be running football because we want to compete, you want to compete, you want to win. You have to plan. How many of the Nigerian clubs have feeder teams? How many of them are professionals? In the real sense of professionalism. Any club that is good must have a feeder team. That is why you have all these foreign clubs progressing. When there is somebody whose leg are being suspected to be tiring, they will get younger ones to come into the main team. We have left that undone for several years.
Very true. And for this one, I must say that we have to defer. I know a number of people have, you've addressed that in previous interviews. People say you're old school. But the old school is where we've had our best results. I mean, you spoke about 93, 94, 96. Those are the times when we have our best teams. We had our best results, our best performances. Nigeria was ranked 5th. That was after the USA 94 World Cup. That's the highest ever. In the whole world. That's the highest ever ranking ever. And we've not even come close to that at this point in time. That was a team that went up against the finalist, Italy, I remember, and all of that. Yeah. So I think on this one, like what you have said, if we go back, grassroots development.
Yes.
Going back to how things were, if we are going to get back those results that we were, then we should have recourse to people like you who have to decide that. But one question, sir, let me just run up with this. If, on peace and all of that has been happening, if it takes someone to say that, okay, we want you to step down so that there can be peace, is this something that you would want to?
Why not? I'm a peace-loving Nigerian. But I would not want any mediocre whose interest is to come and look for money.
Now I understand.
The interest should be Nigeria.
And not personal.
And not personal. It's not about looking for money. Somebody who is ready to spend his time and money for the development of the game, that is the person. So I'm not against that.
All right. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you. We'll still have you maybe on some other show, and then we'll have more time to talk. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's it. Hope you're able to pick something. He ended with that part. I like that. It's all about the country. It's not about personal glory or, you know, putting up or personal, you know, making money for yourself. That's it. We'll take a time and I'll stay with us. Our final guest will be right here.
Take a look at Choke there, which is nominated for an AMVCA, but I'll tell you why we are taking a look at that. For our last conversation, we have with us talented actor, Victor Attitude Achua is in the building. He's an actor and a film producer who has been in some popular movies and series like Rumor Has It, remember that one? Return of the Kings, Choke, which we just saw, Long Sleeve, Diamond in the Rough, just to mention just a few. You are welcome. Good to have you here. Attitude.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Victor, is it Attitude or is it Achua? I should call you through the
So the
duration
name
of
is
this
Victor Achua, right? So Attitude kind of came along the line as I came up.
What's the story behind Attitude?
I think it's something about my face. So
Uh-huh.
for some reason, I have this very stern-looking face. Even when I'm not like upset or angry, people think like you look very serious, and then you have an attitude. So
I
it
think
kind
you're
of stuck.
approachable. I think it's all right.
Exactly.
You know,
I've been telling everybody this for how long?
But I think I know why. I think it's from the fact that you are a production manager, and production managers have been known to be very
presence of mind.
Oh yeah, that kind of thing. So maybe that's what it is.
Maybe.
Well, let's talk about that. Now, you went from being an actor to being a producer, if I'm not mistaken. Was that the
yes.
progression?
Yes.
Now, is this a normal progression in Nollywood? Is that how it goes, or is it the other way around?
It's not really popular that way. Sometimes you see people who start from behind the cameras and production assistants and all that, and then work their way to the screens. But I kind of wanted to make films, you know, actually impact films. So I kind of went from front of the camera
to the back of the camera.
Back of the camera, you know, where I have more influence over the process. You can actually make some impact.
So that's very interesting. That influence you talk about is not something that most people who when a young person says, I want to go into Nollywood, first thing they're thinking about is all the fame, the camera, the lights, the glitz,
yes,
you know, the events, the boom, boom, all of that. Now, you stepped backwards to go behind the camera where the attention is even less. Is that a testament to your abilities as being, you know, what's the word now I'm looking for? Because I think I'm like that in a way. When I want things to go like I want it to go, I take the steering wheel myself.
Well, that's one way to look at it. But mine was, okay, so since I was a young boy, I've always known that I wanted to tell stories, like tell African stories. I'm very passionate about the untold stories.
Yeah.
And I can only do that if I have some kind of influence over the stories that we put out. And in Nollywood, we had, I think, we're getting better now, but there were issues of story, right? So we tend to focus on technicalities and all those other things, and then we're forgetting to actually tell the
story itself.
And so that you now see that there's no quality or substance. You see great camera, great picture and all that, and then you're wondering,
story is just
no
foundation for the story.
Foundation, no direction, and then we just flow. So when I step back and be a producer, I can actually say, okay, let's do it this way. I think it should be this way. Right? So there's some element of control and influence.
Yeah, it's the control.
So
it's the control. I like the control.
Impact, yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, I like the control. You were in Rumor Has It.
Yes,
that was when you caught my attention.
Yes.
Apart from Rumor Has It, you were also in King of Boys, the movie and the series.
Yes, I was.
So when you look at these, your function in all of these, you have actually been part of those people who have reinvented Nollywood. I'm going to say reinvent because there's so much that we're doing differently now. And you can see that in the quality of production that we put out. Not even in the quality of acting, but the quality of production that we put out. How big of an influence would you beat your chest here for a second?
So
go ahead.
So first of all, I have a pact with the universe, right?
Yeah.
Pact is quality over quantity. That's why you would rarely, even as an upcomer, you would rarely see me on every project. I kind of started to select what I would be on from an early stage. That's why you see me on Smart Money Woman, King of Boys, even the trade. I was in the trade, you know. So I think because I know my worth, I know what I have to give to the industry, because this talent and this gift of creativity comes from wherever it comes from. But you have to know you have it, and you have to know you have to give it, and you have to give it 100. So it goes back to when I say I want to impact. So I can only impact with the right kind of projects. Yeah, so that's it.
Let's talk about Choke. Choke's got a nomination for the MVCA for Best what now again?
Okay, let me.
Let's do this. Yeah, it's okay.
So we have 3 nominations.
3.
EMC. Yeah,
wow.
We have Best Actor. You saw Chimezemo. He was wonderful in that film. And we have Best Movie West Africa and Best Writer. And fun fact about the writer is this is our first cinema outing.
Wow.
Right, so Choke was a love project, and we are gushing over it.
Yeah, well, I can see that. I mean, first off, how does that make you feel to be part of that kind of the community that's putting together Choke?
Well, first of all, I must thank Chris Ode for giving me the opportunity to be on that project, because he's the producer of the project, and Chris Ode is my mentor, teacher. I've learned a lot from him, and he's a great filmmaker. He's one of those guys who are going to pivot the change of Nollywood to the world, right? So Choke was a painstaking process, because at the time it was in comedy, it was in action, it was something totally different. It was psychological thriller. Who does psychological thriller?
Yeah, exactly.
Who wants to see a sickle cell patient who is a drug addict, who's having drug issues, who wants to kill everybody, who's angry with the world? Nobody wants.
I don't think there's a Nigerian movie the sorts.
There is no film like Choke.
Yeah, exactly.
In Nollywood, there is no.
That's why it's very different. Do you think that was also that also has a certain export appeal, where you can actually show this outside the country, and it's something that they're like, that's from Africa?
Yeah. Choke has been to festivals outside Nigeria.
Tell us about these festivals.
Been to TIFF. Been to Toronto Film Festival.
What was the reception like?
It's great. People are wondering if Nigerians actually made this.
Exactly.
What kind of minds?
Exactly.
What kind of minds were behind thinking up?
Let's talk about that mind, the writer.
Yeah, Uche.
What kind of mind does Uche have? You've met Uche.
Uche is a very, funny enough, she's a very jolly good fellow, right? She's not.
There's nothing wrong with
dark
her.
mind.
Because
she's not one of those dark. I like dark stories, right?
I like dark stories, and I appreciate when people write these dark stories, because it's like as if we belong together, that type of thing. So when I see these stories being written by Nigerians, I'm like, bravo.
When
Let's start something together.
Choke is a love project, right? So Choke's original idea, the original story, was by Trinity Ugonabo. She's the producer of The Bride Prize, also got nominated in the EMVC. So all of us were like a tribe, right? We got to learn certain things from one particular academy, which is under Chris Ode. And so from Trinity to Uche's mind, to Chris Ode's mind, and to everybody involved in it, we had to start bringing people who actually knew about sickle cell, people who were actually living the experience. And there's some element of true stories, true events in the story. So that's where we came from. We just wanted to tell the truth of the truth people don't want to hear.
Yeah.
People don't want to, nobody wants to go and get depressed in the cinema.
Exactly.
Right? But you go there, and then you see the ensemble. We had the cast, KOK with his subtle comedy in it, right? And then from Uncle Norbert Young to
fantastic
Auntie
cast,
Young,
by the way. It's just fantastic cast,
different.
fantastic story. So no wonder it's got those 3 nominations. I can't say too much about it. It speaks for itself on its own. And that you guys are really working hard to put this together and put Nigerian movies on the map. We've always been on the map, but in a very much more, it's glamorous right now. And everything's being done right like it should be done. It's fantastic. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? What if I told you that was for you? I've still got 1 or 2 questions for you, but I'm going to ask them inside of the kitchen because we're preparing something for you. But we're going to take a glimpse of some of your work, Diamond in the Rough, or maybe even some Choke, and then I'll move you to the kitchen and I'll ask those questions there. So
just make it spicy.
Let's take a look at this, and then we'll be right back with Attitude, having some breakfast.
Welcome to the kitchen again, and I must tell you that the aroma of this tea I'm standing over is amazing.
It is.
Oh my God. Welcome to the kitchen.
Sorry, I lost myself.
Don't worry, it's all right. Chef Walia has made us breakfast of yam balls and chai masala tea. Now, this tea was boiled with herbs right here in the kitchen.
Okay.
So we need you to try the yam balls first. Let's have your feedback.
I like food.
Yeah,
it's obvious.
Obvious.
Oh, wow.
Let's see.
Yeah. You're brave. You took a whole one, hot like that.
He is brave indeed.
Wow. It's got pepper. It's got sardine. It's got onions.
Onions.
Wayon.
Am I allowed to comment?
He can't
Yes,
talk.
of course.
Yes,
of course.
please.
Before you take the next one.
No, it's
Okay.
that's the reaction
Okay,
is
we
good
have
enough.
it.
Right.
Fantastic.
Interesting. Okay.
God bless you.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll let you have the
my
tea
breath away
later as
moment.
well. At this point, though, thank you so much, Chef
you, Walia.
Walia. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Victor, for coming through,
Yes,
man.
thank
Lovely.
you so much.
I respect your
Craft.
trade, your craft rather. It's fantastic. I can't wait to see more from you guys. And please do
Absolutely.
Black Five Niger.
And congratulations to all the AMVCA nominees.
Yes.
Of course, the movie that you were in.
We're talking about that on Friday, by the way, you guys.
Yes, we
Yeah.
are. Yes, we are.
Thanks to all the members of crew, and of course, thanks to all our guests. Thanks to you two for always watching.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Tomorrow, remember, bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.